Hello and welcome to Insight Germany, where we invite people onto the show to give their insights into this country. And today my guest is a man who makes his living making amusing observations about Germany and the Germans, and indeed his own countrymen, the Americans. It is the stand-up comedian John Doyle. Originally from New Jersey, he arrived here in Germany in 1990 and turned to comedy in 1996.
Yes.
John, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
First of all, I have to ask you, it's tough enough doing stand-up in your own language. You have chosen to do it in German.
I think so, yeah. I think I probably killed someone in a previous life, and as a kind of penance, they said, go to Germany, learn German, and do comedy in German. Because, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And when the people don't laugh, though, you always have an excuse. You can always say, well, you know, there are Germans in the audience, so... No, but it's actually fun. Most of the time they laugh, you know, and if they don't laugh, it's mostly about me, I think. I think I did something wrong, because the audiences, mine are usually pretty good.
Yeah. How did it actually come about? Here you were already in Germany. Obviously, you didn't sort of come here.
No, I had seen that there was a possibility to do what they call an open stage, sort of an offene Bühne in Germany. There was a midnight show in Cologne.
Open mic, sure.
An open mic show. And they were looking for people. And I had always thought about doing it in the past. And I tried it. And I had to write 5 minutes of material. And I think there were maybe 15 people in the audience or something. And I got 1 laugh or 2 laughs. And I was really happy about it, because I didn't die on stage, and at that time 2 laughs were good, and so I kept going with it. But I think it was kind of something of an internal dare. I wanted to see, it's like with people who go bungee jumping or people who go skydiving. I wanted to see if I could do it. You know, there was something about it that seemed exciting, and so I tried it out, and it kind of worked out.
And how long did it, I mean, when did you sort of say, right, I'm not going to work anymore. Sorry, I'm not going to work as a journalist.
That's right.
Anymore. This is full time.
Yesterday. It took me about 17 years. It took me about, I don't know. I think, yeah, 7 or 8 years ago. 7 or 8 years ago, I was on a national TV show and a competition, and I did well. And I think sort of around that time, it has to get to the point where when you call up venues and you're looking for gigs, you know, because you can only sort of survive as a comedian doing solo shows, doing one-man shows, you have to get the feeling that when you call the people, they know who you are. So if they know who you are and they say, oh, you could do your show at our place, that's okay, then you can get shows. If they don't know who you are, prior to 7 or 8 years ago, I had a feeling that too few people knew who I was, so it was hard making money doing comedy. But about 7 or 8 years ago, it started getting easier.
Did this help as well? I mean, I don't know which award you've received quite a few. But
yeah, that helped.
You won the Grimme Prize.
Well, not really. In my dream, I won the Grimme Prize. In reality, no, I would have accepted it, you know, because I think it comes along with a car or you meet Angela Merkel or something like that. She hangs a ribbon around your neck or something. But no, I didn't win it.
That was the comedy prize.
Oh, that was the Bundesverdienstkreuz. That's something I'd like to win, but that's kind of harder to win.
No,
but,
this was a comedy prize.
No, this was a comedy prize in Hanover, and it was really good because the financial award was really good. And the good thing about winning prizes in Germany is that you don't have to tax them. It's basically tax-free income. So that's, you know, the good thing about winning prizes. And it gives you some recognition.
I didn't know that. I will try harder.
Yeah, it's like the lottery. It's tax-free, so...
Yeah. Now, I must ask you, at this point, because you are an American doing stand-up in Germany, we must talk about the classic cliché that the Germans don't have a sense of humour. We both know they have a sense of humour. Why do you think there is that cliché, though?
Well, I think there's that cliché because it's partially true. It's not entirely true, but it's partially true. For example, I've had people come up to me at the halfway point of my show during the intermission and ask me, this is really true, now this may not be representative, if it's okay to laugh in the show. And I said, geez, you know, I'm serious.
Really?
In the last couple of years, yeah. I've had people come up to me and say, is my laughing disturbing your performance on stage? And I had to tell them, no, you're not laughing is disturbing my performance on stage, so please laugh, you know.
But they're used to stand up here.
Well, yeah, young people are used to stand up now, younger people. I had one person, actually here in Berlin, I was doing a show in Berlin about 2 years ago. She sat in the first row and didn't laugh at all the whole time. And I kept thinking, I'm really bad, or she's really bad, or we're bad together, or something. And then after the show, she walked up to me and she was very serious. She was very serious. I thought she was going to complain. And she looked me in the eyes and she said, I've never laughed so much as tonight. And I was really confused. But by and large, you know, those are the exceptions.
She's laughing inwardly.
She was laughing inwardly. Yeah. She was laughing sort of, it was a stealth laugh. It wasn't sort of audible laughter. It was more sort of meditative laughter. Yeah. But by and large, I don't find, I've been doing it for a while, any great difference between a stand-up audience in America and a stand-up audience in Germany. If your material stinks, the American audience also won't laugh, you know. And if your material touches something with the German audience, they'll laugh. So I don't.
But can you define German humour? Because it is different to British or American humour. Or every country has different humours.
What I've experienced is that British and American stand-up has come out of bars, out of clubs and things like that. So it has a kind of working class appeal. You can talk about everyday things. You don't have to talk about highbrow things. German stand-up originates from a theater standpoint. So when you go out on stage in Germany and you do stand-up and you talk, for example, about sex, or you talk about something like that, body parts, or, you know, performance-related issues or things like that, the German audience will be much more reluctant to feel comfortable with that kind of subject matter than an American audience will, or than a British audience will. The British and American audiences come to laugh. They're there to laugh. And if you're funny, you're good. German audiences oftentimes come to learn something. They want to laugh, but they also want to feel that the material isn't cheap, that the material isn't below the belt. They don't generally like things that are a little bit risque.
Yeah, I quite like. I must admit, I think in the last few years, English and American, I can't speak from. Some of them have gone almost too far.
Yeah, I think that. But I think that, from my standpoint, there's an audience for everything. But I think that in Germany, you know, Germany is kind of where America maybe was with stand-up 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's a process. It's a process. George Carlin, who at the end of his career was very out there, at the beginning of his career in the 1960s, 1970s, was kind of mild, you know, by comparison. So I think it's kind of like it's a curve, and Germany's on a curve. I think the comedy is much better than it was 10 years ago, but it's a curve. It's kind of a learning process, and yeah, it's I think getting better. It's interesting.
Okay, we'll talk some more in a minute. But now, as we sometimes like to do, we lent our guest a camera, and he showed us round his hometown of Cologne in his inimitable way.
So I usually start my day with a coffee or something like that. Go online, look for comedy ideas. They can be anywhere, so I'm looking everywhere. And as soon as I get an idea, I start writing. So it's part of the process. Sitting down, thinking, writing, musing, doing this. And trying to come up with material that will not only inspire, but also entertain German audiences. And it's not always easy. In fact, it's never easy.
In front of me, as you can see, is the Cologne Cathedral. It's still pretty amazing. I'd like to get the scaffolding off in the next couple hundred years, but who knows?
I've also been a tourist in this country, and I think that that's partially what I also am, even after 22 years. So I kind of touch base again with my inner tourist. Then I go back to my normal life, assimilate back into German culture after, like I said, becoming a tourist for a couple of minutes at the cathedral. This is one of my favorite places to eat cake. I was told that it's all low calorie. It's fantastic. It aus dem Schwarzwälder Kirsch and Sachertorte from Vienna. First date, my first German experience with a German Fräulein, with a German woman, formerly East German woman, began here at Frühkirch, here in Cologne. We had a couple of beers, which is kind of what you drink when you're at Frühkirch. We looked into each other's eyes, and we probably thought, is this the person I'm going to be spending the rest of my days with? Okay, I'm sitting here with my Uncle Joe. And
I'm sitting here with my nephew John.
And we were about to actually enjoy our meal. But it's good that this has been turned on, because this is actually what I enjoy doing quite often here in Germany, is eating, right?
Absolutely.
And eating German food.
Sauerbraten.
Right, rheinische Sauerbraten. And yeah, so we're going to enjoy our meal.
Absolutely.
And say tschüss.
Tschüssi.
To all of the millions of viewers out there around the world.
Around the world.
Sitting in their hotel rooms right now.
Absolutely.
Watching Deutsche Welle television.
Sauerbraten.
What else is there to say?
Yeah, you're one of your favorite. You obviously love German food.
Yeah, I like it because it's kind of like comfort food. It's like what I was used to in the States growing up, with meatloaf and potatoes and things like that. So high calorie, warm, you know, if you're not obese, you'll be in the process of getting obese while you're eating it. And it gives you a feeling, you know, clogged arteries. It's what you're looking for when life is hard, you know. But
Sauerbraten, though, if you translated it, would be sour meat.
Exactly, which isn't so sexy.
It doesn't, yes, I know.
That's why they don't sell it as sour meat. That's why they don't give you the English menu when you want to eat the Sauerbraten. They tell you, just trust us, it's good, Sauerbraten, how many do you want? You know,
yeah.
But I love it. I love it.
And you sent us some pictures, and this one, your uncle's in it again, showing his legs off, I think, on the left there.
Yeah, he's a leggy guy. He used to be a leg model, I think, and he's a philosophy teacher and was a leg model.
But is there a big connection?
In his previous life?
Connection, or was he just visiting?
He's not just a member of the family. He's also someone we call a friend. You know, he's always visiting us and things like that. And
but we didn't have any photos of your parents.
No,
also.
I have a photo though. I have a cell phone photo if I can find it. I have a photo, but this is going to date me. Wait a second, I can look for it.
Okay.
And
well, while you're looking for
it, oh, I found it already.
All right,
it's amazing. It just popped up.
Let's see if we can work this.
Now this was in 1964, I think. This was my father and my mother, and I was the little fat red-haired child on the side.
That's
right?
cute. That is very 60s,
right.
Isn't it?
And we were the inspiration for the television show Mad Men. You know,
Are you claiming your 10%?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and yeah, those are my parents. That was 1964.
Yeah.
That was the John F. Kennedy haircut, and my wife also, no, not my wife, my mother also had the John F. Kennedy haircut, because it's kind of a matching John F. Kennedy, Jackie Onassis Kennedy haircut thing.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
we'll talk a bit more about your childhood, but I want to just refer to one other thing back from the report. You said you still feel a tourist
sometimes,
after 22 years.
Yeah, sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, there are moments. There are moments sometimes when I feel like I'm a tourist or something like that. There are some strange moments. I think I feel like a tourist sometimes when I'm talking with someone in German and they'll answer me in English or something. Or they'll think that I'm a tourist and immediately speak English or something. That makes me feel sort of a little self-conscious, and I develop self-esteem issues.
And you travel, but you do travel all over Germany.
Well, there I
so
feel like a tourist. No, but there I really feel like a tourist, because you travel to these places in Germany that are really nice, but you get the feeling that they've never seen an American before. You know, or the last time they saw an American was, you know, back in the old days when they didn't really want to see the Americans. But you get a feeling sometimes. You're looking at me like
I'm
you don't know what
amazed
the heck I'm talking about.
In 2013.
No, but there are some areas of Germany where you have the feeling that nothing has changed in the last 20 years, in that the people are very much in their towns and things like that. So when you come to these small towns in Hesse or in Baden-Württemberg or something like that, these small villages, you really get the feeling. They look at your license plate as you're driving into the village, into the Dorf, and you get the feeling that people are thinking, what the heck is he doing here? But not from the standpoint of what the heck is this foreigner doing here, but from the standpoint is what is this guy with the Cologne license plate doing here? So you're kind of a tourist if you're a German, not from there.
But what about audiences regionally? Because you really do tour around a lot, and they're very different reactions.
Right, there are. I find Bavaria to be easy. The people laugh. Women in general laugh more than the guys, so it doesn't matter where they are. The women laugh. I find Bremen, any city that's near water and ships and guys with tattoos, you know, sailors and things like that, they seem to have people who go to my shows who laugh freely. In Ostwestfalen, near Paderborn and those areas, they don't laugh that often. You have to pay them to laugh. You have to negotiate. You have to negotiate what you're going to give them so that they laugh. They are very suspect. They're very stur, as the Germans say. Stur means reserved or...
Yeah, reserved.
Or...
Yeah.
Or,
they hold back.
Semi-deceased.
So here's your theory. By water, at water...
Yes.
And tattoos.
Right, exactly. And if you have an audience filled with people with tattoos, piercings, and things like that, they tend to laugh more than people. That's why I ask the audience when I do my shows, is anybody pierced? Is anybody wearing a tattoo today? Because it seems to be an easier crowd. And women are easier anyway. And if they're a hard crowd, this is also something interesting, they're an easier crowd after the intermission than they are before the intermission, because during the intermission, there's alcohol involved.
Oh, so, but that's not just Germany.
But that's everywhere.
I was going to say that's everywhere.
Yeah. You feel sometimes like there's a completely new audience in the second half of the show than in the first half of the show.
Yeah.
It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers in a good way, you know, in a good way. You're like, whoa, where'd you guys come from? And they're looking at you like, we are the same people as in the first half. And I'm like, yes, but you're the laughing version of those people. So I'm happy, you know. But no, Germany is, my audience is urban. My audience speaks some English. My audience has been outside of Germany before, has a couple of stamps in the passport. And but I seem to do well with senior citizens. They seem to like me as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think they have the feeling we're older, we have nothing left to lose. Let's come and laugh. Let's give the American guy a break. You know, senior citizens have a more positive, I think, attitude towards an American on stage speaking German than sometimes people in their 30s or 40s. You know, they sort of think, what's this guy trying to prove? You know, it's funny. There's a kind of...
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a sort of Wertschätzung among older people. They liked Kennedy, they liked Eisenhower, and they like me. You know, it just sort of goes in line.
Let's just find out roughly how you came here. You're from New Jersey.
Yes.
Which we have a map of. Actually, more specifically, Jefferson Township, which I'm afraid we don't have that on the map because it's a very small place. But
Jefferson Township.
We'll skip through the school days to the fact that you joined the Navy.
Right.
Now, did you join the Navy because of village people or because you wanted to defend your land?
Well, both. The Village People video at the time was really popular, YMCA, and I couldn't do it, you know, with the dancing. So I figured if I joined the Navy, I might get that coaching that I so desperately need, you know. But no, I had gone to college, and I didn't like college, and I didn't have any money. And I walked down the street, and there was a Navy recruiter with videos showing planes flying off of aircraft carriers and things like that, and telling me, suggesting you could become a pilot flying a plane off of an aircraft carrier. And that was the same time as Top Gun. And I kept thinking, if I fly a plane, I could get a girlfriend in this lifetime. So it all kind of came together. And before I knew what was going on, I joined the Navy and was in the Navy for 3 years.
And became an air traffic controller.
And within 3 minutes of being in the Navy, I realized that it was not the right place for me.
And did you come over here with the military?
No.
No.
No, I was there with the military. I did 3 years. Then I went to college after the 3 years.
To study journalism?
To study journalism.
Okay.
I met an Austrian exchange student. This is where the plot thickens. This is where the Austrian plot thickens. And who I later visited or attempted to visit when I was in Austria as an exchange student myself a year later. That didn't work out, but that was my main reason for coming to Europe, was to hang out, you know, with this Austrian exchange student who I was friends with when she was back in New Jersey. So had she been from Japan or from North Korea, I'd probably be doing stand-up comedy in North Korea right now. I'd be a buddy of Kim Jong-un, and we'd be, you know, there wouldn't be these problems, because I'd say, hey, man, just, you know, dial down the rhetoric, you know.
And dare I say, you'd have a captive audience.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's okay. You'd get a laugh. But see, German audience would laugh at that, German audiences, but there'd be a kind of a laughter with a groan sort of attached to it. They'd be like, oh, you know, so like, good try, but no, but it was an Austrian woman who got me to Europe.
It was pretty grown making it.
No, but it was okay. I've had, you know, it's anything that gets a reaction in my book is good. I don't mind making fun of myself on stage. Like, for example, I tell this joke on stage where I say, I asked a woman once if she thought I was fat. I tell this joke. This actually happened to me on stage while I was doing a show. I asked a senior citizen in the first row if she thought I was fat. And she looked at me and she said, not for an American. And I was really insulted. And she said, young man, was that insulting of me? And I said, not for a German. And it got a huge laugh from the audience, And I just wrote it down
and
afterwards.
You keep it. Yeah.
And I kept it.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and that's sometimes how material comes about, just by improvising. And you take what works and you discard what doesn't.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
Anyway, as I mentioned, you trained in journalism, but journalism's loss was comedy's gain, but we thought we'd like to link the two. So here's another little report from John taking us behind the scenes of a renowned comedy club just before going on stage.
Okay, we're now backstage at Quatsch Comedy Club in Berlin. This was Germany's first comedy club in the capital. It's a really nice theater, really historic place. It's really fun performing here. They've got really cool dressing rooms. I'll show you some of the dressing rooms. This is the presenter's dressing room. Everyone has got a certain decoration. This is mine here. This is the Broadway dressing room. They always give the American Broadway with the stars up here. So what's really important is having something to drink, preferably something like this, and not preferably something like this. This is basically the route that we take when we go out to the stage. This is the holding area, or the red zone. I'm getting ready for the show. I've got to do some stretching and stuff like that. And yeah, and then I'll be ready to go on stage in about, I think, a half hour. And be funny, preferably. Okay, this is Sasha, the presenter of the show, Quatsch Comedy Club, tonight.
Hey,
Sasha, what are you doing to prepare before the show? You look like you're concentrating. What are you doing?
I'm just searching for a dealer because I have to buy some wheat. Is it called wheat? Is it called wheat grass?
Should I stop the tape?
No, you shouldn't. It's a game. It's just a game.
Just a game.
I'm just playing Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
And I think it's very nice because when I kill some dealers, then I'm very relaxed for the show.
Okay, that's good. So that's your method?
That's my method acting, yes.
Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. Sasha, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Are you?
Interesting at the end there. Actually, it cut off a teeny bit early, but there were two other... That lady was saying, are you ready? And then there are two other comedians there. And you were almost all sort of monosyllabic, actually. Not yourself, you were busy with the camera.
Yeah.
But is that often the case? I mean, the sort of calm before the storm, before you go on stage?
Yeah, everybody does it sort of their own way. Most people I've experienced want the calm. I need to talk and to sort of get relaxed by talking, but most people are pretty sedated and sort of do their thing, and I think kind of almost don't deal with what's going to happen a couple of minutes later. They really sort of get into it maybe a minute or something before they actually go on stage. They know what they're doing. They're prepared. So they don't have to think 10 or 15 minutes before the show, oh, geez, what material am I going to do? Are they going to laugh? Am I nervous? And that sort of thing. So they're ready to go. So they're pretty relaxed before and pretty sedated without medication.
And what about, I mean, this leads me to when you're off stage and recognised, are you expected to be funny?
Yeah, which is annoying sometimes because you feel like then you're never off stage. You know, you're never off stage. And then I've had situations before where people after the show would say, "Oh, you're not so funny as you were when you were on stage." And I said, "Yeah, but I had jokes. You know, those were my jokes. And this is my normal life. And normal life is sometimes funny, you know, but this is kind of, the onstage performance is sort of a condensed version of one's, I don't know, comedy life or something. But yeah, it's sometimes awkward because people think that when they're talking to you, you're always performing. And that's hard, you know, it's hard to perform 24 hours.
And you do perform a lot.
Yeah.
So I presume there must be days when you're not feeling funny.
No, exactly.
But you professionally have to go on.
Yeah, and basically...
There's no alternative.
Yeah, and basically when you're out in the Öffentlichkeit, you know, when you're out there where people are, whether it's on the train or something like that, you're basically a public person. So it's annoying because you can't be a jerk. You know, you can't tell someone at the Deutsche Bahn that you're annoyed, you know, or someone at the airline that you're annoyed. Because I've had that experience before where people have said, "Oh, on TV you're much nicer," you know? Or on TV you're much, you know, friendlier or something like that. I'm thinking, yeah, but this isn't TV. That's why. Yeah. But yeah, it's sometimes hard, but I guess it kind of comes with the job.
A couple more photos, a couple of... Who's there now? I know who Cindy of Marsan.
Yes.
Marsan there is in the sort of pink.
Yeah, Cindy is in the middle.
How could you explain her to an audience that doesn't...
Cindy is a working class girl with diet issues and a real sort of fashion, iconic sort of fashion sense.
We can only see half of her there, unfortunately. I'm sure she's wearing pink, you know, trousers as well.
The other half is just as big.
Yeah.
No, but she's very funny. She's a very funny woman. And her routine on stage is, you know, I'm the normal person from the normal world talking about normal things. And she's really funny. I really like her, you know. And
who's this?
This is a guy, Marco, and he does a routine where he's kind of a stand-up comedian and also Dracula at the same time. So he's got sort of the vampire stuff combined with stand-up, which is, I think, only possible in Germany. But I don't know if you could do that in England.
Yeah. Well, it's
something.
also, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a certain part of German humour that loves slapstick.
Yeah.
They love Laurel and Hardy,
right.
for instance.
Right.
Who they call Dick and Dorf. You know?
Right,
but,
exactly. But that also is very telling. That's also very telling because when you say Dick and Dorf, you know, fat and stupid, there's a
stupid,
kind
they
of...
translate it. It's not very nice.
It's not very nice. You know, I mean, these guys were classic artists. These guys were really, really good. And to sort of translate them and say, you know, this is the fat guy and the stupid guy is sort of, I think, sort of doing them a certain injustice. But I think it's telling in that it's sort of saying that comedy, we like it, but it's somehow not to be taken seriously, even when you're talking about guys who were iconic, you know, Laurel and Hardy, you know. But that's that peculiar relationship. Germany's, I think, peculiar relationship with comedy. It's becoming more and more normal, but it's a peculiar relationship. Comedy doesn't have the same value for a lot of people in Germany as cabaret does, you know, political satire.
Yes, I should say what they call cabaret is kind of political satire. It's very...
Right,
yeah, it's
but
big
in America, they don't differentiate. In America, you can have political comedy, you can have observational comedy, you can have a comedy that's, you know, a little bit below the belt, that's blue, or something like that. You can have everything possible. But in Germany, there's a tendency sometimes to compartmentalize. He does cabaret, and he does comedy, and he drives a Porsche.
Well, you'll compartmentalized, I suppose, as the American.
The American,
you are the American.
Yeah, and it's hard to break out of that sometimes. Yeah. It's hard to break out of that sometimes, but at least it's a recognizable feature, because without the recognizable feature, you won't be recognized at all. You know, people would think, oh, that's that guy. You know, you can't say that's the guy who wears the jeans or something, because everybody, you know, wears the jeans. So you need that recognizable feature, but sometimes it's hard to break out of it. You know, you have to go beyond that. Yeah.
I should just mention that you actually worked for something called Deutsche Welle. in the past.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, it's back some time ago, but I wondered if that inspired you with any of your comedy. We'd all like to know here, and I'm sure our listeners out there would like to know.
Well,
was there anything?
I worked in radio. I worked in radio at Deutsche Welle in Cologne and then in Bonn. This was sort of during this Übergangszeit, this transition from from radio to comedy. And the thing that for me was difficult about the whole thing, I really liked the job, but you didn't get much feedback from the audience. You did your show, it went to Africa and went to Asia, and nobody was, throwing, articles of clothing on stage, chanting my name, telling me they wanted a child, from me. Nobody was doing that. Nobody in Africa or Asia, so I didn't get the feedback that I needed.
Yeah.
It's very difficult sometimes to feel loved when you're broadcasting at 3 o'clock in the morning, and
I know how you feel,
and you're not
John.
hearing people chanting your name.
Yeah.
And when you do comedy, it's immediate. If it's good, it's positive immediate. If it's not good, it's negative immediate, but it's immediate. You know exactly where you are. In real time.
Yeah.
And that was something I needed.
And I should just say, I know how you feel, and tell our audience that we will be giving out our address to write to in just a minute. But I want to show another picture, because this is just one of... there's another poster like this as well. This is Stirb langsam is die hard or die slowly. I mean, it's the translation of the famous movies. But this is... I just want to know... medicine and medical problems seems to be a topic here.
Well, this is a new show I'm doing starting in the fall. It's called Stirb langsam, dein Arzt braucht dich noch. It means translated, die slowly, your doctor still needs you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And,
nice title, by the way. I like that.
And Germans are very interested in health and talk a lot about their health and go to the doctor quite often. Americans don't go that often to the doctor because they have to pay, and the doctor wants a lot of money and that sort of thing. But Germans love going to the doctor. I think on Mondays, on average, there's 6 million, basically half of the working population in Germany on Monday goes to the doctor and says, and has its back sort of thumped on.
6 million?
6 million people. So if you want an appointment on Monday, you've got to have Merkel at the end of your name or something like that to actually get an appointment, or be privately insured. If you're privately insured...
but it is a better system than in America.
I think it's a good system because it's not considered a luxury. It's not considered a luxury to go to the doctor. I think it's absurd that there's this attitude in the U.S., where I'm coming from, that, well, if you can't afford health insurance, well, you're out of luck, and just don't get sick, I like it that everyone basically has health insurance, and everyone knows so much about their bodies. You can have long conversations. When a German asks you how you're doing, he wants medical information. He doesn't want you to say, I'm doing fine. He wants to know about your knee, about your heart, about your back, about your ribs. He wants specific information, detailed information. Otherwise, he'll be disappointed. So give him the information.
It's very true. Now, there is nothing in the world so contagious as laughter and good humour. So said Charles Dickens in The Christmas Carol. And maybe that inspired the guy who invented laughter yoga. Here's more. And if you find that amusing or not, or you have some sort of opinion and want to drop us a line about anything to do with the show, our address is insight@dw.de, and we'd love to hear from you. And that address, incidentally, will come up again at the end of the show. My guest is John Doyle, who's a stand-up, he's an American, but he's a stand-up comedian here in Germany. First of all, I wonder what you thought of laughter yoga. Did it seem a bit forced?
Well, it's not really my thing. It's not really my thing. I tried yoga, and I didn't do good in the normal yoga, because I was always in the wrong animal, Like the woman, we did it, and she said to the people, that's very good, that's very good, that's very good. And when she stood in front of me, she said, you're doing the wrong animal.
You're doing the wrong animal.
Yeah, because you have to be a dog or a cat or a snake or something. You do the shapes, and I was doing the wrong animal. And
can I suggest, because I do yoga and I've never been an animal, so possibly you're doing the wrong yoga.
Yeah, no, she said in German, she said, das ist das falsche Tier.
That's the wrong animal.
That's the wrong animal. And I was really, but she said it in such a nice way that I didn't feel bad about myself, or, you know, I felt actually quite good. But as far as I'm concerned, anything where people laugh, it's okay. Laughter is good. Laughter is healthy.
It is. It's been proven to be healthy, actually.
It's really good. So people come up to me after the show. If they're happy, I'm happy, basically. And it's always different. And I talk about America, I talk about, you know, Germany, I talk about life in Germany. And basically, if the people can relate to it, if they feel that you're genuine, they'll laugh. If they can somehow identify with it and see the humor in it, yeah.
Would you like to be German? I noticed in another interview, they asked you about the naturalization test, and you answered the question you were asked. You answered correctly, but I mean, would you like to be?
Well, I wouldn't mind being
have a German
passport. I wouldn't mind having a German passport if I didn't have to give up the U.S. passport. I wouldn't want to give up the U.S. passport to get the German passport, unless you gave me a Mercedes, Porsche, or BMW as part of the deal. The Porsche would be the best.
Okay.
I'll take the Porsche.
We haven't got a lot of time.
Yes.
I want to ask you, because it's a good opportunity to ask a guest like yourself, 5 things that are fabulous about Germany, and it doesn't have to be 5.
Okay, a couple of things.
Things that are fabulous about Germany and things that are perhaps not so fabulous.
Okay, fabulous about Germany is the taxis are Mercedes, and you can sit in the front. You know, if the taxis were Mercedes in New York and you can sit in the front, people would be stealing Mercedes all the time. It would not be a good thing. People would be like, wow, I'll just take those keys, thank you. So that's really good. The infrastructure, I think, in Germany is really good. You appreciate Germany more when you're outside of Germany. When you're in Germany, you often complain, everything is so German. But when you're outside of Germany, you realize how German you are and how much you appreciate about Germany, you know? I like the fact that things are orderly. Things are very orderly. You know, people do things in an orderly way. At the train station, if they're smoking and there's a smoking area at the train station, they stand in that box, you know, you have to stand in, and they smoke, you know. In America, you'd have 800 people smoking all over the place, you know, and that sort of thing. But they'll observe this sort of public space and these rules and regulations, and I find that not so bad, you know, not so bad. The thing that I find difficult sometimes is that people are so direct. You know, like I said before about, you know, do you think I'm fat? Not for an American, you know. They're oftentimes so direct. I was talking with a taxi driver in Berlin a couple of years ago, and he said to me, oh, you speak really good German. And I said, thank you. And then he asked me how long I've been living in Germany. And I said, 18 years. And he said, oh, well, then it's not so good, you know. But
that happens to me all the time, because I've been,
But it was, you know, there was something positive about it. You know, he motivated me to get better.
So you've been here 20 years. Do you feel more German?
Yeah, I talk about my health all the time. I talk about my back pain. I don't cross the street when it's red. When the little man is red,
you don't cross the street.
I wait, because I want to be an example for young people. That's what Germans say, you know, du musst ein Vorbild für die Jugend sein. I want to be an example for young people. Even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I will not cross the street, because there could be a young person looking out the window.
Even though there are no cars to be seen for miles.
There could be a young person looking out the window, and I want to be a good example for that young person.
I have to tell you, you have become German. It's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Allow me to finish with another quote. Laughter is America's most important export. So said the Walt Disney Company, and they should know. My guest has been John Doyle, one of America's most important exports and one of Germany's most important imports. My thanks to him for his observations here. My thanks to you for watching. Until the same time next week. Bye-bye. That's great.